All right, here we have this week's Torah portion. And as you remember, last week, we left. We didn't do the end of last week's Torah portion, but last week what happened is that all of the brothers came back to Yosef, and they brought back the money that Yosef put in their thing, and Yosef in their sacks. And Yosef said, "Don't worry about it. You're still my friends." He didn't let them know that Yosef was their brother. They still think that he's just this very strange ruler of Egypt. So they came down, and Yosef said, "Don't worry about it. Everything's okay. Take food and go back home." So they take food and they go back home. And suddenly one of Yosef's servants comes and brings them all back. And Yosef said, "Hey, one of you fellows stole my a cup. When you stole my cup, you stole my special divining cup. What's going on?" So let's just go back to the end of last week's Torah portion. Well, let's see this. And it says, this is so the servant came and he stopped them all. This is last week's Torah portion. Let's just one second. Yeah. And he said, "Hey, you stole my cup, the cup of my master. This is what my master drinks from it. And he does all sorts of divining and things like that." And he got a hold of them. He told them this. And they said, "Why are you talking this? God forbid. We would never steal. And here, look, remember you put money in our bags the last time we were here, and we brought it all back. How could we steal anything? We're honest people. Whoever is found by us, the cup, let him die." And so the servant, this is one of Yosef's sons, he grabbed a hold of him and he said, "Okay, whoever is the cup with him, then he'll be my servant and everyone will." Okay, so they all went back to Yosef. They all put down their bags with the wheat inside of it, and they started looking inside of the bags, and all of a sudden they found, wow, the cup, this magic cup of Yosef was in the bag of Benjamin. So they all tore their garments, and this is before they went back to Yosef. They're all back. They got caught, and they find there's the cup. And so they go back to the city, go back to Yosef, right? This is last week's Torah push. And Yehuda and his brothers came to the house of Yosef, and he's still there, and they fell in front of him on the ground. And Yosef said, "What type of a thing is this that you did to me? This is my special cup that I took. How could you steal it?" Of course, Yosef, they didn't steal it. Yosef had the cup planted there purposely, so that he was accused Benjamin, and they would all go berserk because Benjamin was the favorite son of their father. The father didn't even want to let him go. He said, "If anything calls to him, then I'm going to die." Okay. Now, Yehuda, he speaks, and he says, "What can we say? How can we speak? How can we justify ourselves? God has found the sin of your servants, and now we want to be servants, all of us. You can take all of us and to be your servants." And Yosef said, "No, what are you talking about? I'm an honest person. I'm not going to take all of you. The one whose the cup is in his possession, he's going to be the servant. And all of you can go back to your father's house." Okay, that's how we ended up last week. Now let's go to this week. Yehuda came close and he said, "Be Adoni." He said, it's strange language. This means like, "Please, my master. Please, my master." He got it. He said, "Please, my master, please." He's speaking to Yosef. "Let your servant speak these words in the ears of my master, and don't get mad or don't get angry at your servant because you are like Pharaoh." Right? That's what Yehuda says. All right, now Yehuda is going to tell him the whole story, what happened. Remember, we came down to you and you put money back in our things, and we went home to our father, and you said you want to see our little brother. And that if we don't see the little brother, we're not going. Our father didn't want to let him go because he loves him so much, and so we did bring our little brother. And my father, the little brother, our father is so connected to him. If you want to take somebody, take me. Okay, now there's a lot of questions over here. We're going to see what he says over here. Right? We can go over it shortly if you want to, but I want to go back. Okay, Yehuda now steps forward and he says, listen, now the Kli Ykar is going to ask, what does he have to step forward for? He was always already talking. We just finished talking. That's what we just finished learning. That Yehuda said, he spoke, and now all of a sudden he comes closer and he speaks again. What's he have to come closer? What does it say? Be Adoni. What does this mean? In me, my master. This is strange language. Please, my master, let me speak now in your ears. Okay, the Or HaChaim has his own explanation, and the Kli Ykar has his explanation. But let's have a look and see. What is he going to say? Let's look quickly. You asked us and said if we got a father or a brother. We already told you that we do have a father. He's old, and he has a child of his youth, and that was his Benjamin. And his brother, which is Yosef, he's already dead, which is not true. They don't know if he's dead or not. In fact, he's not dead. Yosef is the king. And now this little brother that we have is alone to his mother, and his father loves him very much. And right, Benjamin's the only one left for his mother. And you said, bring him to me so that I could see him, right? You just speaking to Yosef. You said, bring him to me so that I can see him. And we said, we can't do it. He'll leave his father and he'll die. He'll die means that Benjamin, his father's worried that Benjamin is going to die. And you said back to us, if your little brother doesn't come down, then you're never going to see, and then you can't get him to see me anymore. I'm not going to give you any food. And so when we two went to our father and we told him what you said, and our father said, okay, what can we do? Go back and get us some food. And we said, we can't go down unless we have our little brother with us. We have to take Benjamin. And our father said, my father said to us, you know that I had two children, my wife, Rachel, that she's the one that he really wanted to marry in the first place. My Rachel had two children. And the first one went away from me and he's torn up by animals. I haven't seen him since then. And now you're going to take this one. You're going to take Benjamin also from me. And if anything happens to him, then you're going to take down my old age to Shola. You're going to take me down into the depths. Shola means to the grave in this case. But now, okay, so here we are. Now here we are. We're standing in front of you. You're going to take Benjamin from us when we go back to our father, and the child is not with us. But nafsho k'shara nafsho, his soul is attached. Our father's soul is attached to the soul of Benjamin. They're like one soul. If you take him away, then he's going to die. Right? Well, something, it'll be happening. We can't stand it. We can't take it. It says that when he sees that the child is not there, he'll die. And you'll bring my father down in mourning to the grave. Okay, that's what this is a whole big speech that Yehuda is giving now. We're going to see that after the whole thing that Yosef hears all this and he admits. We'll see. One second. Okay. Here, Vayigash Alav Yehuda. Let's start from the beginning. What does it mean he went close to him? He was already speaking to him. What does it mean? What did he have to come close for? So it says, I want to come closer so that my words will go into your ears. In other words, I want to say something very serious. Please don't get mad. From here, we learn that Yehuda spoke, severely. He spoke very, angrily. and Yosef. Now, who is Yehuda? He's a nobody. And who is Yosef? He's the king of the whole world. So from this, the Lubavitcher Rebbe learned that Yehuda, remember we learned that in the morning, Yehuda spoke with a tone of defiance. And in that way, it was at a higher level spiritually than he had ever been before in his life. He was defying now the king of the whole world. And he said, you are like Pharaoh. Yehuda said, you are like Pharaoh. You are important in my eyes, just like the kings. That's a simple meaning. It says, the Midrash that says, you are like Pharaoh, just like Pharaoh is going to get smitten with a disease, leprosy. Just like Pharaoh, as you're going to get also smitten with leprosy. By what? Just like Pharaoh, he got smitten by leprosy. Remember the story with Sora when she was taken into prison, just because of one night that Pharaoh kept Sora over, right? And it ended up he couldn't do anything to her. She was very beautiful, but he couldn't do anything because he got smitten with some strange disease. Another, what does it mean? You are like Pharaoh. Here's another explanation. Just like Pharaoh makes all sorts of laws, or all sorts of laws, and he doesn't keep them. He makes all sorts of promises and he doesn't do it. So all sorts of, you're the same thing, right? You're the same type of Yosef. You're the same type. You're making all these threats. This is, you said, you wanted us to bring our brother down so that you could put your eye on him just so you would see him. This is what it says. Shamarta l'sum einav alav. You wanted to put your eye on him. You said you would take good care of him. Now you want to kill him. You want to put him into prison. Another explanation, just like you, is like Paro. What does it mean? That if you make me mad, then I'll kill you and Paro also. That's what Yehuda says. Now, Yehuda was a tremendously strong person. He was a powerful person, but it says that Yosef and his sons, were even stronger than he was. So we see that Yehuda all of a sudden developed this tremendous idea of defiance, this feeling of defiance. Okay. The Or HaChaim says, what did he mean he came close? He said he came close because now he was speaking very, very private and intimate words to Yosef. And he wanted to tell Yosef, he says one of three things. He wanted to tell Yosef that really Benjamin did not steal the cup. I stole the cup and I put it into Benjamin's pouch. I wanted to play a trick on Benjamin. So if you want to take somebody, you can take me. Yeah. Here he says, where is it? Here. That's what he meant by, and he said, Bi Adoni. He included three things. He intended, three things. Now, the word Bi Adoni is very strange. It means like something, no, or please. But the word Bi really means in me. Strange language. So he says he means three things. Number one, in order that Yosef would not say, Yehuda, why are you speaking up for everybody? Why doesn't everybody speak up? You're the only one that this really matters. Yosef ki Ruvain, that Yosef knew already that Ruvain was the firstborn. Remember earlier it said that he put all of them in the proper order. That was the end of last week's Torah portion. We didn't get a chance to learn it, but it says that Yosef arranged them all according to their order, and he held up his cup and he said, the cup is telling me you're the firstborn, like it says, Vayishvu b'lefanav habachor, etc. If so, Yosef was saying, you're not the firstborn. Why are you standing up and speaking? And because, therefore, he said, Bi Adoni, to me. To me is more important than anybody else. Why is it more important to me? He says, because I was the one who put myself up as a surety to my father. And I guaranteed, I was the guarantor. So Bi Adoni means in me. It makes a matter, the reason I'm speaking up before my older brother is because to me, it's more important. Number two, because that Yehuda felt that maybe Yosef would get angry at him. Therefore, he said, "B." What does it mean? That's very, very important. Right? I'm sorry, very, very important to me. That's the first thing. He said, "I want you to know that to me it is important very much." And he said, because the reason why is that I became a surety for Benjamin. Number two, Shnikaven Leton, he wanted to say something that might be able to save Benjamin, namely what? Bi Adoni. It was me. The sin is in me. I'm the one that stole the cup, and I put it into the bag of Benjamin. So now, according to law, it should be that if you're going to take someone, you'll take me, because even though the Benjamin denies it, and Yehuda and he admitted it. So Benjamin said, "I didn't steal anything." Yehuda said, "Okay, I stole it. So therefore, I should be the one that's your servant." Number three, B. In other words, the sin is on me. Number three, and this is the nice one. Listen to this. He said, "Listen, B Adoni. Me is the master. I'm the one that's the master. Now you are leading the world. Yes, but it's only temporary, because this term that I'm using, Adoni, I'm calling you now the master, right? I'm master, but it's only temporary, because what does it mean? Now you are the servant temporarily. You are the master temporarily, but it's not going to be long, because Yehuda is really going to be the king. I'm going to be the king, and my throne is going to be forever." We're going to learn about this in the Mimer in the morning, that Yerovam ben Nevat and all the 10 tribes, they came from Ephraim. We talked about that. But they didn't last for long. That it lasted for about 250 years, and that was the end. Also, he was hinting at, when he said Bi Adoni, he meant that by means of this, because of me, I was the one that arranged it, that you would be a king. But I was the one that said, "Let's go and sell him to the Ishmaelim." That by means of this, it came down Yosef. Now, he didn't even know this. Yehuda didn't know that it was Yosef. But nevertheless, the words came out of his mouth, and saying that if you're great, it's only because of me. I was the one that suggested that they should sell you into servitude. Okay, you asked your servants and saying, "If you got a father or a brother," you asked in the beginning. Remember, a long time ago, when we came down here, right? Why did you have to ask all these questions? If we've got a brother, if we have a father, one of us wants to marry your daughter or your sister. What are you asking all these questions for? Therefore, nevertheless, we didn't hide anything from you. We told you the whole entire truth. We told you that we have an old father and he has a young son, and he had two sons, but one of them died, and the other one, the youngest one, is the only one that's remaining to his father. What does it mean his brother died? His brother died, he said, because he was so afraid, so he said a lie. He said, if I say that because he said to himself, if I say that we don't know what happened to Yosef, then he's going to say, bring him to me also, right? He's the only one from that wife, from that mother, in other words, from Rachel, and the only son that's left is Benjamin. Said, and my father loves him. He loves him more than the others. Therefore, he didn't let us take him in the beginning. That was the reason that he didn't come with us the first time that we were here. You said that we have to bring him down. We have to bring him down with you. We have to bring it down to Egypt. You said, bring him down to Egypt so that I could put my eye on him. what do you say? What does it mean I put my eye on him? It means, Sforno, you don't have to worry. Tell your father not to worry of sending him because I'll take good care of him. And now we see that the brothers were saying, you lied. You're not taking care of him. You're putting him into prison. What's this? We said, listen, we can't take the child because if we do, the child will go, he'll die. Who will die? He says, Benjamin will die. If we leave him, we're worried that maybe he'll die on the way. That's what we said before, right? Just like his mother died on the way. And you said back to us, I'm sorry, but if you don't bring your little brother with us, then you're never going to see your face again. And you won't get any food. You'll all die from food. So when we came to our father, this is what and we told him, your words, nevertheless, he didn't listen to us then to send him. So we said, we can't bring him down if your brother is not, he said, there's no reason to come down if our brother is not with us because we can't, Yosef said he'll refuse to see us. So our father said, okay, you know what? I want you to realize that I had two favorite children. One of them went from me and it says that he's all torn up by animals. Now you want to take this one and something will happen to him. My soul will go down into the grave. It says, what does it mean? A cross or sown? Something bad will happen to him. That it says, we said before that the devil, when there's hard times, is that the devil makes problems in the time of danger. In other words, you went down, but I'll take him down to Egypt. And now it's a difficult time. We see that there's all sorts of severities on us. This madman in Egypt, that's the leading of Egypt, he's making it so hard for you. Why? So he's afraid that if he makes it hard, then more bad things are going to happen also. So when Benjamin is with me, that's what Yaakov said, when Benjamin is with me, so I'm at least comforted because of his, that his mother passed away and his brother is not here. And if he dies, then it'll be like all of them died in one day. So it'll be too much for me to accept. Now when I go back, his soul is attached, my father's soul is attached to Benjamin's soul. All right. It says, when my father sees, when he sees that the child is not with us, he will take him down in misery into his grave. Because why am I standing up? He says, Im Tomar, if you say, why am I the one that's coming and saying these words? That's what he said before, Bi Adoni. It says, why are all the others outside of the circle and I went inside and I'm coming close to you? It says, because I have more of a attachment to him. If I don't bring him back, then I'll be, excluded from two worlds. My father won't want everything to do with me, and he'll blame me for the death of my brother. And not only that, it'll end up that I killed both of the brothers. Now says Yehuda, please let your servant, in other words, me, I'll serve in the place of, I'll be your servant in the place of Benjamin, and let him go back with his brothers. He said, what do you mean I'll be the servant? I'm better at being a servant than he is. I'm stronger than he is. I can be a warrior for you, and I can also serve you, right? I'm stronger than he is. I can be a warrior, and I'll also be a good servant. I know how to be a good servant for you. That's what Rashi says. Because how can I go back to my father and the child is not with me? He'll see, and I won't be able to see the pain that's going to be with my father. Says Sforno, even though that, of course, if I don't come back, my father will also be miserable. and because I don't come back, but it's better me, at least, that I shouldn't see. If I'm in prison, then I won't see the pain of my father, that I'm not there either. And if I go back, then it'll be worse. I'll have to see the pain of my father. And also Benjamin won't be with me. I promised that I would take him in. In any case, Yosef could not hold back to all the people that were there. And he yelled out, Hotziu called Ishmaelai, get everyone else out of here. Yosef, there was no one there when Yosef confessed to his brothers. Rashi, he was not able to hold back. He couldn't bear so that the Egyptians were standing there and they would hear how he was going to shame all of his brothers in front of him. Okay, there's more explanations, but Vayiten is kol bebechi, and he raised up his voice in weeping. Vayishmu Mitzrayim, and all the Egyptians heard. Vayishma Beis Yosef, and also the people in the house of Yosef, the house of Yosef. In other words, all the servants and the people of his family. And this is not necessarily in his house, but it means his family. Everyone in Egypt heard. And Yosef said to his brother, Ani Yosef, I'm Yosef. Ha'ora v'chai, is my father still alive? His brothers couldn't answer him. All of a sudden, everything turned around. Right? They thought, the brothers, that he was some stranger and he was really going. All of a sudden, they found he was his brother. Now, on one hand, they thought, what's going to be now? Maybe he'll have mercy on us because he's our brother. On the other hand, maybe now he's really going to let us have it because we were the ones that threw him into prison, into jail, into the pit. We were the ones that. What's going to be now? Right? This is a whole different thing. If he was a stranger, so he's going to take one of us. Maybe now he's going to take all of us. Let's see. So it says that they were. Why were they afraid? It says they couldn't stand up, not because of fear, because of the shame. Here he is standing in front of us. We thought we were going to kill him. But we said, is my father still alive? The Kli Ykar says, even though that they already told him many times that the father was alive. Like it says from Yehuda. Yehuda also says, I have an old father, he's going to die, he's going to. Nevertheless, Yosef thought maybe Yehuda said all these things, that his father was still alive and have to have mercy on him, because maybe he really wasn't alive, but Yehuda just said this in order that Yosef would have mercy on him. Maybe Yehuda made the whole thing up so that Yosef would have mercy on this old man that he had already passed away. That's why I said another time, is my father still alive? Another reason is, he says, is my father still alive? In other words, it didn't say, is your father still alive? Because that's what they were worried, because he was saying, now maybe he's going to be our enemy. And he didn't say, is your father? Maybe he's making himself that he's not our brother anymore. Just like they did to him. That they all of a sudden acted with him like he was a stranger and threw him into a pit. Therefore, he said again, I am Yosef, your brother. That's why he said it again. He said, here. Ani Yosef achichem. That's why afterwards he said, I am your brother. In other words, don't think that I'm not your brother. Okay, another reason is that he was saying, I am your brother. What does it mean I'm your brother? That it's a good thing that you sent me down here, because you might think that I'm already angry at you because you threw me into the worst country in the world. It says the Egyptians were the most licentious, decadent people in the world. And that's because you sent me down into Egypt. So it was very probable that, he's a nice looking fellow, Yosef. And even if he wasn't nice looking, it says that the Egyptians were just totally wasted, and that they were, how do you say, obsessed with sex. They were totally obsessed with sex, the Egyptians. And so it was only logical that something was going to happen. But because Yosef held himself back, so it says that anyone who has relations with a woman that's not his, in other words, somebody else's wife, is eventually become poor. And because Yosef, he'll go around asking for bread. Because Yosef held himself back, so he not only became poor, but he was also able to provide food for the whole entire world. Because we see that food is somehow or other connected to being licentious. So Yosef is... Anyway, I would just want to throw in my idea, what I thought, that Yosef previously, he heard that his father was alive. The brothers said, our father is alive, our father is alive. And he asked the brothers, is your father still alive? And they said, yes, we have an old father. But Yosef was, this is the first time that Yosef was able to say, my father. Avichai. He was able to announce in public that Yaakov is my father. He knew that he was alive, but he was saying, is my father still alive? In other words, you should know that now I'm announcing in public something that I was hiding from everybody, hiding from you, hiding from the Egyptians. It's hiding. My father is Yaakov. And that's why the brothers couldn't answer him. And finally, the brothers were going to see the brothers. He said, don't worry. Shouldn't be bad because you sold me, because I have saved the whole world. These 2 words, these 2 years of hunger in the earth, and there's going to be 5 more years that there's not going to be any food. Now, the fact is, when Yaakov came down, is the famine stopped. God sent me down here in order that I will provide life for the whole entire world and save all of mankind. So therefore, Yosef was telling his brothers, it's come to an end. Here it is. You're now going to come down. I've saved the whole world and come down. Well, the fact is, it did not come to an end. This is actually only the beginning. The whole thing was just a plan by God to fill the promise that God made to Abraham that the Jews were going to be slaves in Egypt and that they were going to go out with great riches and receive the Torah. And this was the beginning of all the Jews coming down to Egypt. We're going to see, but that's going to be in the beginning of the next book, the book of Exodus, as we're going to learn, God willing, next week. See you all tomorrow, God willing, at 8:15 in the morning with Mashiach now.